It's 2 a.m. The house is freezing. You can see your breath in the living room. Outside, the world is pitch black. The silence is deafening. No hum of the refrigerator. No distant street traffic. Just the sound of the wind against your windows. The grid has been down for 48 hours. You walk past your $15,000 solar inverter system mounted proudly on the wall. It's a paperweight. Why? Because a winter storm has covered your panels in 3 inches of ice. And even if it hadn't, the sun hasn't shone in for days. You have the most expensive green energy set up on the block, and yet you are just as cold, just as dark, and just as vulnerable as your neighbor who didn't prep at all. This isn't a hypothetical scenario. This is the reality of relying on a single, weather-dependent technology for life-sustaining power. You were sold a dream by the prepper industrial complex, a dream that says if you buy enough silicon wafers from China, you'll be safe. They lied. Solar panels are incredible tools for offsetting your electric bill in peacetime. But in a true grid-down survival scenario, they are fragile. They are visible targets that scream, "I have resources." And most importantly, they are completely useless when you need them most, at night, in storms, and during nuclear winters. If you are ready to stop hoping for good weather and start planning for reality, keep watching. Today, we are exploring 5 alternative power devices that rely on physics, not the weather forecast. These are the engines of survival that will keep your lights on, your radios charged, and your family alive when the sun refuses to rise. Let's start with something that sounds like magic but is actually pure. Simple science, the thermoelectric generator, or TEG. While the novice prepper is outside trying to scrape ice off a solar panel, risking hypothermia and exposure, you are safe inside. You are sitting next to your wood stove, a propane heater, or even just a simple candle. And from that heat alone, you are generating electricity. This works thanks to the Seebeck effect, discovered in the 1800s. This phenomenon proves that if you create a temperature difference across the different semiconductors, electrons flow. Heat on one side, cold on the other, and boom, you have current. NASA uses this technology to power deep space probes like Voyager, where solar power is impossible. If it's reliable enough for deep space, it's reliable enough for your living room. Why is this superior? First, it's invisible. Solar panels reflect light. They are a beacon to looters. A TEG sits inside your home, silently harvesting energy from the fire you're already burning to stay warm. It's the ultimate gray man power source. Second, it's 24/7, as long as you have fuel to burn wood, biomass, trash, alcohol, you have power. No waiting for sunrise. The upgrade. Don't just buy a cheap USB dongle. Look for stovetop TEG fans and charging units. Designed for wood stoves, these can generate enough consistent wattage to keep a power bank topped off, running your comms and tactical lights indefinitely. Now, let's talk about the ultimate backup. When the gas runs out, when the sun is blocked by ash, when the wind stops blowing, you still have calories. You still have muscle. The hand crank dynamo is the only device on this list that transforms your biological energy directly into electrical power. But pause for a second. I am not talking about those $20 plastic emergency radios you find at checkout counters. Those are toys. They use plastic gears that strip under torque and batteries that leak after a year. I am talking about military-grade, heavy-duty dynamos with hardened steel internal gears and brushless motors. The physics of survival. A good dynamo with a 10-to-1 gear ratio can generate up to 20 or 30 watts of power with moderate cranking. That doesn't sound like much until you realize that 30 watts can charge a Baofeng radio in minutes. It can bring a dead smartphone back to life to check offline naps in a survival situation. Information is more valuable than ammunition. If you can listen to emergency frequencies when no one else can, you have a tactical advantage. A hand crank gives you the power on demand, regardless of EMPs, weather, or supply chains. It is the definition of anti-fragile. Let's talk about the Achilles heel of modern survival, batteries. That sleek lithium-ion power bank. It's slowly dying, losing capacity with every charge. After a few years, it's a paperweight. Those heavy lead-acid batteries, they need distilled water, vent toxic fumes, and are a nightmare to maintain. If you're planning for a long-term collapse, 5 years, 10 years, a generation chemical batteries will fail you, period. So what's the alternative? We need to look beyond chemistry and embrace physics. Let's start with something ancient, reimagined for the modern prepper, the gravity battery. The concept is brutally simple. It stores potential energy, not chemical energy. You use any excess power you have from a small solar panel, a water wheel, or even your own muscles to lift a heavy weight, a block of concrete, a barrel of rocks, a bag of sand. When you need electricity, you release the weight and gravity does the work. As it slowly descends, it turns a geared motor or an alternator, generating a steady stream of power. Why is this a complete game changer? A concrete block doesn't degrade. A bag of sand doesn't lose its charge in freezing temperatures. Gravity works the same today as it will in 100 years. You can literally build this in your garage with pulleys, ropes, a salvage alternator from a car, and some basic tools. Imagine this. During the day, you use a hand crank to hoist a 200-pound weight 20 feet into the air. That night, you let it lower over 6 hours. It's a slow, controlled descent that powers a string of low-wattage LED lights for your entire evening. It's silent. After the initial build, it's free. And most importantly, it's repairable with things you can find, not things you have to buy from a global supply chain that no longer exists. This is how you decouple your survival from the world of lithium and cobalt. This is true energy independence. Now, let's talk about another source of power that nature provides 24/7. If you're lucky enough to have a stream, a creek, or river on your property, you're sitting on an energy gold mine. Forget solar and wind for a moment. The sun is cyclical and the wind is fickle. But flowing water, it's the relentless battery of nature. It works day and night, rain or shine. In fact, it often works better when it's raining. I'm talking about a micro hydro turbine. You don't need a Hoover Dam. All you need is two things: head, which is the vertical drop of the water, and flow, which is the volume of water moving through. Even a small drop over a short distance can generate significant power. A small, portable turbine placed in a fast-moving creek can generate 50 watts continuously. Let's do the math. 50 watts, 24 hours a day, is 1,200 watt-hours. To get that same amount of energy from solar panels during a bleak winter day, you'd need a massive, expensive array. But here's the best part: tactical stealth. A big wind turbine screams, "I have power." From a mile away, a field of solar panels glints in the sun, advertising your resources to anyone who might be looking. A micro hydro turbine, it's submerged. It's practically invisible. It's whisper quiet. You can bury the cable running back to your home. It provides you with a consistent, reliable, almost luxurious level of power without painting a target on your back. It powers your lights, charges your communication devices, and runs small appliances, all while the world outside is dark and silent. It's the ultimate gray man power solution. Finally, we arrive at my personal favorite, a masterpiece of 19th century engineering that our disposable society completely forgot: the Stirling engine. Invented way back in 1816 by Robert Stirling. This isn't your typical engine. It's an external combustion engine. That means there are no violent explosions happening inside a cylinder like in your car. Instead, it uses an external heat source to expand and contract a sealed pocket of gas like air or helium, which pushes pistons back and forth. The versatility of this is unmatched. You can run a Stirling engine on literally anything that creates a temperature difference: wood, charcoal, dried leaves, scrap paper, even dried animal dung. You can focus sunlight onto it with a parabolic mirror. You can run it off the waste heat from your wood stove. Some small models can run off the heat of a cup of coffee or even the warmth of your hand. Because there's no internal combustion, they are incredibly quiet. And because there are no spark plugs, fuel injectors, are complex electronics. They are simple, robust, and can last for decades with minimal maintenance. In a grid-down world where gasoline has evaporated and propane tanks are empty, the person with a 1 kilowatt Stirling engine hooked up to their wood stove is king. They have electricity as long as they have trees to burn. But it's more than just electricity. That engine can provide direct mechanical power to pump water from a well, grind grain into flour, or run a lathe to repair other equipment. This isn't just about keeping the lights on. This is civilization rebuilding technology. It's about maintaining a level of comfort and capability that would otherwise be impossible. So the next time you see an ad for a fancy solar generator or a survival solar panel, ask yourself the hard questions. What happens when the sun goes down for a week of storms? What happens when the delicate inverter electronics get fried by a power surge or just fail? What happens when the lithium battery refuses to hold a charge in sub-zero temperatures? Real, long-term survival isn't about buying the most expensive gear from a catalog. It's about understanding the fundamental laws of physics. It's about diversifying your energy assets. Gravity, heat differential, water flow, these are the truly renewable resources you can count on when everything else fails. Don't put all your eggs in the solar basket. That's a single point of failure. Build a resilient system. Build a system that embraces the dark, the cold, and the chaos. Because when the lights go out for the last time, fancy brand names won't matter. Physics will be the only law that matters. If you found value in this deep dive, don't just like the video. Share it with someone you want to see survive alongside you. And subscribe, because in our next video, we're going to get our hands dirty. We're going to build one of these devices from scratch using only junk you can find in an abandoned garage or a scrapyard. Stay safe and stay prepared.